Hey, what is up, guys? Today we're checking out 4 brand new UAFX pedals with Chris.
Hey!
And Thor.
Hey!
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Guillaume. This is Thomann's Guitars and Basses, and today I'm very excited to be sitting once more with Thor.
Thanks for having me.
The man, the myth, the legend. Thank you for being here. And Chris! He's there as well. It's a bit of a swapperoo today. We have 4 new pedals by UAFX, so we're going to be talking about them. He's going to be playing them, and we're going to try and make that as informative, entertaining, and delightful as possible. Okay, so first off, maybe an overview about that new form factor. Why, how, what were the challenges and the rewards of that new series?
Well, I think first of all, sometimes if you talk to, I don't know, filmmakers or stuff like that, sometimes they make one for the audience and one for themselves.
That's true.
I think this is a little bit of both, but this is definitely also at least one for me.
Yeah, okay.
Because I really like these simple classic stump boxes.
Yeah.
If you think back to like the beginning of when stump boxes were new and exciting back in the 60s and 70s.
Yes.
And you think back to classic MXR pedals, classic electro-harmonics pedals. They always had this sort of small form factor with just a couple of knobs, one effect, you turn them on, it sounds great, and you don't have to worry about anything. That's really what we wanted to achieve with this.
Okay.
This range of pedals. But at the same time, what we didn't want to do is that we didn't want to sort of compromise on the sound part. So anybody who's familiar with our bigger pedals,
Yes.
We think they sound pretty good.
We do too.
We didn't want it to be sort of a compromise in terms of, they're smaller and they're cheaper, hence they must not sound worse or not sound quite as good.
Yeah.
That's not the case. Inside, they're exactly the same.
Okay.
The only difference is that we require a slightly smaller processor to run them because they don't have presets.
Yeah.
They're mono.
Yeah.
So we can run one instance of the algorithm instead of having like a bunch of them. So the goal is basically, take some of the favorite algorithms that you guys know from Golden and Starlight and Astra and these pedals, and put them in one pedal. So if you like the plate reverb, from Golden. Cool, there's Heavenly. That's a plate reverb. And it's just a plate reverb, so that's the sound. Or if you like the Echoplex emulation in Starlight, there it is in a pedal. Or one of the newer pedals, the Max dual compressor. That 1176 sound, which is an old UAFX, an old UA product. Here it is in a dedicated pedal. So that's basically the idea of just taking like single effects, old school style, putting them in a stump box with not a lot of bells and whistles, but just awesome sound.
Yeah, and in a much more compact form factor. Still top mounted. Thank you.
Yes.
Very much.
Gotta have that right.
I appreciate that very much. And every control on the outside.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good too, because sometimes you do see that in that the reduction form factor comes with dip switches, trim pots, this and that, because you have to put those controls somewhere, and if they don't fit on the box, they're inside. I like that everything's accessible on that.
So there is, obviously there's the knobs and the toggle switch, which is sort of similar for all of them. And then on the back, you'll see that there's 2 little slider switches where you can access on all the pedals. One of them is true bypass, buffer bypass, whatever you prefer. Don't want to get into that argument here.
No, we're not doing this.
And the other slider switch is sort of dedicated to that specific pedal. So it'll be different depending on what pedal it is.
Yeah, okay. And we'll go over that when we run through the pedals individually. All right, that's a very cool. Obviously, check out the link in the description. You'll have all the information at the time where the pedals come out, which is in a couple weeks now, at this point. Let's start with the signal chain, because that makes sense. And the 1176. So you said it's just the algorithm that was in the Max compressor.
Yeah. It's the algorithm that's in the Max compressor, or anybody who's familiar with UAD and the plugins. It's the same one.
Okay.
So it's basically, you know, any sort of, you know, top 10 Grammy-winning song being produced by top producers worldwide use that algorithm for tons of different stuff, and it sounds, you know, I think it sounds amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I couldn't even Okay, single, dual, and sustain on the toggle. So you still like have those routing, like sort of.
Yeah, but it's done a little bit more. So if you on Max, and not to sort of dive into Max too much, but Max was, you know, that was really like a workstation of every single dynamics thing you could possibly think of. Yeah. We tried to make this simpler and easy to use. So in terms of knobs, this is literally identical to buying a real rack mount 1176. So you have the input and output controls, which is obviously depending if you're more of like into guitar world, you typically see that called either the input will be sustain or threshold. So that's basically how much compression do you get? Turn it up, get more. And the output is obviously sort of a makeup gain. So as you turn up or turn down, you might have to adjust the output a little bit. Then you have your classic attack and release knobs. Very important thing, we model this exactly like the original, and for some reason Bill Putnam Sr. decided to take the attack and release knobs and actually reverse them as compared to anybody else in the market. So as you turn them up, you get faster.
Okay.
So think of it like a car. Yeah. You press the speeder down, it goes faster. So it's the same thing.
Okay.
So basically, when you turn up the attack, you get a faster attack. Turn up the release, you get a faster release.
Okay.
And then the last one is the ratio. And on the real 1176, you have these push buttons. Yeah. So it's, you know, you have 4, 8, so on. And then there's also a mode where you can press all of them out. So you're basically just using the 1176 as a preamp. Yeah. That's also a choice here. This is off, but it's still on, just not compressing. Okay. And then there's a classic sort of a studio hack where if you pressed all 4 in together, you actually get sort of a different kind of sound that's also in there. So you can also choose all.
That's super cool.
So it's pretty much everything that, you know, or not even pretty much, everything that's on the original is also in here. All right. And then what we wanted to do on top of that, obviously the classic mode is just having one 1176, use it as an awesome compressor. And that's it. But there's a couple of other ways that you can use this, and I know that there are other pedal manufacturers that actually sort of make dedicated pedals, pretty much only doing that. But there are a couple of guitar players and classic studio techniques where you use 2 1176s at the same time. Yes. And we wanted to throw those options in there. So inside the pedal, there is actually 2 1176s running at the same time. Okay, and you can... If you have it in single mode, you're only running one of them. If you put it in either dual mode or sustain mode, you're running 2 of them. So if we take the sustain mode as the first one, that's 2 1176s with both of them basically running as clean compressors. Okay. You're only controlling one of them, but we're sort of matching it inside, so we're actually controlling 2. And one of the tricks with that is that if you run the attack and release fast on one, then you want to do the opposite on the other one. So if you turn one
but that's done automatically.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that. Okay. And that's great for slide playing. Lowell George from Little Feat, and obviously newer players that people know like Ariel Posen or Joey Landreth, are known for sometimes bringing out a compressor and yes, bringing out a compressor to get that sort of clean but super sustainy sound. That's awesome. Absolutely. So that's the sustain mode. So basically tons of sustain but clean. And then the middle position, dual mode, is another way of using 2 1176s, and that is actually using one of them not as a compressor but more as like a preamp, almost like a little overdrive or gain circuit. And obviously the classic example of that is Jimmy Page and Led Zeppelin on Black Dog. But there are tons of other examples of that. So any sort of direct to console sounds, you can use it for that. And that'll obviously give you that sort of gritty, you know, sort of high-end raspy sound. But you can absolutely also use it in front of an amp and in front of speakers. Then it'll just roll off a little bit of that high-end. So you don't get into that sort of revolution territory. So it's basically 3 modes, but it works as one pedal. And what we try to do is that when you set everything at a, wherever you set it and you like it, when you flip the toggle switch, you'll get like 3 pretty usable sounds, but very different sounds. So you don't have to sort of go, oh, I like this for that mode, and then I want to switch to more sustained.
And you need to redial everything in. Yeah. Okay. And the LED still does the cool LED thing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. You'll see that with the camera. But
then the last thing that I should mention is that, as I said before, on the slider switches, one is a
true bypass or
buffer bypass. The other one for the 1176 pedal is a parallel or mix.
Nice. Okay.
So you don't have full control over I want 49% and 51%, but you get a nice mix of dry and clean if you want that.
In a compact pedal like this, this is already a lot of options.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's run it alone with that setting, and then if you want to flip between the different modes or something, or dial it in for resident player.
Yeah. So I'll just set everything at 12 o'clock. Then typically that's a pretty happy
medium.
Happy medium.
Okay. I'll turn it off first, and then we'll turn it on.
Cool. And Tori, go for it. Do whatever.
Yes.
So those two were one of those were the dual mode. The other one was the sustain mode.
Yeah. So you can hear, the first part of you playing and me tweaking was just the regular 1176, and that's sort of going from like classic guitar, subtly compression to pretty heavily compressed, and then I also turned it down so that you only heard the preamp part of it. And I turned it on and off so you can hear a little bit of the difference, how it colors the sound.
Nice. Okay.
And then Guillaume's flipped it over to first the dual mode.
Yeah.
That was the crunch.
That was the crunchy. Yeah.
And then obviously at the end, it's pretty obvious that suddenly you have like infinite. You're like, what?
And staying clean too. That was just. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing that with slide a little bit and go into that. Beautiful. Okay, on to one of my personal favorites, or at least I assume, which is, okay, you're going to correct me, it's like Orion?
Oreo?
Orion? I don't know. Orion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool, because my English is... that's
perfect.
Great with that. But okay, Tape Echo, so Starlight, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Is the algorithm.
Yeah.
And what did you decide to sort of cut out, leave in terms of the controls and all?
Yeah, so pretty much everything is there with one obvious exception because there's only one foot switch. So there's no tap tempo. So on Starlight, when you choose so this is exactly the same algorithm that's called Tape EP3 on the Starlight. So it's basically the solid state Maestro Echoplex EP3 that we've emulated. And you get the same features that you have on the Starlight model, except the tap tempo, and with the tap tempo, obviously also the subdivision. So on a Starlight, you had the subdivision, quarter notes, so on.
And,
That's not there. So for anybody who doesn't live and die by tap tempo, which I personally don't, but that's a taste kind of thing.
For sure.
But for anybody who don't need that, you get all the same things. Basically. So you have a full Echoplex in the sense that obviously you have delay and mix, and then you have feedback control, and you have the record level, which is obviously how hard you hit the tape. So as you turn that up, the tape gets more really dirty. And that's the same name that it's on the real unit. And then the last one is Wonk, which is not on a real Echoplex, but it's basically the idea of, these old machines get wonky. And as you turn up Wonk, the machine gets more wonky. And that introduces all the stuff that, we love and dig about old Echoplexes, which is the wow and flutter, the tape rolling on the cap stands, the tape splice becoming more obvious. So all that stuff is in there. And then the toggle switch up here, because we didn't actually model one Echoplex. So James, who's the sound designer for all the pedals, he's an Echoplex freak. And I think he has 4 or 5 different Echoplexes.
All right, that
and
qualifies.
He has stashes of tape. So he basically had 3 machines. So he had one that was literally brand new,
old stock,
out of the box. And that one also has a special compander, which is basically like a little compressor circuit built in, which is very rare, but there are a few Echoplexes that have that circuit. And it brings this sort of snappiness to the echo repeats. So one example that guitar players might have, know that sort of sound is Andy Summers from Police use that specific type of Echoplex. With that compander unit. So if you sort of think like din 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 dun dun dun, it has this sort of special quality to it. So that's the first one, and that's the one called Mint. Then we have one that's Worn, which is sort of the nice classic.
Old but not too old.
But not too old, with a tape that's slightly worn, but not not too worn. Everything we know and love about Echoplexes. And the last one he had is one that was in dire need of service, but sort of just managed to hang on by before totally dying. So if you want that sort of sound, you can get that as well. And obviously, all the controls are interactive in terms of we model what happens when you do this on all 3 of them. So obviously, if you have it on the Mint one, when you turn up Wonk all the way, it's not going to get as modulated and crazy as it will be on the really Worn one.
Right. Okay. So how to take all the gear that you cannot tour with on tour.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. Okay. What about the sliders in the back?
The slider one is 2 buffer bypass, and obviously because on any sort of effect with the tail, the nice thing about buffer bypass is that you get trails. So when you turn the pedal off, the delays still ring out naturally.
Super nice.
And the other thing that's in there is the Echoplex preamp, which is a thing in itself. There are pedals out there that do nothing but that. So we emulate that circuit. Or you can choose whether you want it off all the time. So there are some guitar players that hate that when they press on an Echoplex style pedal, suddenly their dry sound changes. Then you can choose whether it's on or off, and you can also choose whether you want it on and off when the pedal is
on or off. Okay,
so basically you have it on never, when the pedal is on, all the time.
That's cool.
And obviously the thing is, the preamp is always on the wet signal, so the delay repeats. It's just the dry signal that we're messing with, so to speak.
Okay, cool. All right, player in chief.
Yes. I'm dying to try that one.
there's no point in doing like a dry test sound with
No,
that.
it's-
Just let's go right in.
Here's something I want to do before I start playing. I just hit a chord and maybe show all 3 modes
Yeah.
on the toggle,
Yeah.
just to hear like
Smart.
the most obvious
Yeah.
difference, and then I'll just will not stop playing ever because
Yes, sir.
I love this circuit.
That third one just wanted to die.
Yeah, it's so funny. There's actually a couple of funny things happening while you're playing. So there's one point when on the old one, because it's sometimes it just freaks out.
Yeah.
There's one point where it just totally went like out of the blue. And then there was one time where, so we also modeled this. So basically on a tape echo, you have this tape loop, and it's spliced together, and you use tape to splice the 2 ends together. And where the tape is, the record head can't actually record anything. It can't read anything. So you have this little hole in the sound, and it won't happen all the time. But there was actually one point where it just sort of gapped out a little bit.
That's awesome.
Oh my god.
And it's just I'm less so, like, I knew I'd love this one because I knew I loved that specific algorithm in the Starlight. That's the one I like using. So no surprises, but still a good.
It's a nice one, for sure.
All right.
One thing I should mention, by the way.
Yes.
Some people might ask if we don't mention that.
Yes.
Why all the different, why the different lights?
Oh yeah.
So
true.
basically, what we've done is that when you change, I don't know if I have long enough nails for that. Yeah. So you can see that when it's in, I know that when it's in trails mode, it's one color. When it's in buffered, it's another color. And when it's, let me see if I can get to this. Sorry.
Yeah, all good.
There we go. And when it's preamp on, it's a third color. And if it's preamp and true bypass, it's a fourth color. So
Okay.
You actually, and honestly, I can't remember which.
I
expect it at some point, but I can't remember which one is which. But you know, once you know which sort of setting you like, you can always sort of you can always sort of see, somebody just gonna, So that's why they're different colors. They're actually not different colors because we just felt like it was cute.
Yeah, but that's such a good point to mention, because like I didn't even question the purple LED. I was like, yeah, that's cool. All right, it also has a purpose.
Yeah, so the only one that isn't like that is the 1176 because we used it as a meter.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, yeah, very good to know. Okay, so on to the second purple LED for the day, which is the Heavenly. And so as you mentioned, that is the plate algorithm from Golden.
Yeah.
Okay. Straight forward, just like the same thing.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And we've had that algorithm also for UAD for a while, and it's to me it's just a beautiful sound and plate reverb on guitar.
100%.
I love spring reverb as well. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's very much like an effect kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas plate reverb is just this beautiful thing that pretty much works with any sort of guitar sound, I think,
absolutely,
or bass for that matter. And the one we modeled is, the plate is really an EMT 140, giant thing.
Yeah.
And we modeled one that's in a studio called The Plant originally, but we actually just recently bought our own. So there is one at the US headquarters, and it's this crazy contraption, like 4 meters long.
That's
with just
super impressive to look at. Yeah.
So that's basically the plate from Golden.
Yeah.
In a pedal, and you get all the same stuff that you have on Golden in here. So you have your typical decay mix. You have a pre-delay. You have like a global EQ kind of thing. And then you have modulation, which add a little bit of shimmery kind of thing on the.
We want that.
Yeah. And then we have 3 different plate modes. So basically, the one original that we modeled, they actually have numerous different ones.
Yeah.
So the tone and the sound of a plate reverb actually greatly depend on the actual plates that are inside.
Yeah,
so it's these big, I can't remember, I think it's copper plates, could also be bronze, but I think it's copper plates. And you can actually get a quite different sound depending on which ones you use.
Yeah.
So in this mode over here, the A mode, it's a I think it's the bright one. I can never remember. There's a bright and a dark one, so it's 2 old ones.
Okay.
And I actually think this is A is the dark one.
Yeah.
And then B is the bright one.
Okay.
We'll hear in a bit. And then the last one is actually new, sort of made plates, not old ones.
Okay.
And that gives you more of a hi-fi sound, where it's both sort of more full spectrum.
Yeah. Okay.
To give you some different flavors, or if you really want to sort of blend the reverb in, you can sort of dial it in doing that.
Yeah.
And on the rear of the pedal, obviously again you have 2 buffers buffered with the trails, and then the other one is so the natural sort of modulation on a plate reverb is not that much. The plates sort of reverberate, but it's not this sort of crazy thing. But we bent reality a little bit.
Okay.
So you have an option of making the modulation faster if you want to give it a little bit more of like an artificial but cool.
Yeah, like ambience making type thing.
Yeah.
And that's really cool, because like the plate is my set and forget. Like I run the Delverb with plates and tape. Yeah. And I have one setting. It's always on. Yeah. That's it. Period. So like that's why like those 2 I really like it. Available in those units, because those are just absolutely amazing sound. And as you said, like not necessarily as much of a an effect that you have to work with or work around when you're making music, but just like plate and tape, just set and forget all the time. Yeah. And that's it. So, okay, cool. Let's figure out which one is bright and which one is dark.
Let's do it.
The help of our playing friend.
I hope I got it right.
I'll give you a short chord again to hear the decay.
Yeah.
I love the pre-delay, mix way up, right?
Yeah.
And like, oh my god, it feels almost dizzy to play it.
Yeah.
It's so.
Yeah, at the very end, I actually cranked up the mix all the way. So all these pedals are analog drive-through. So we pass the dry, the analog, the dry signal through in the analog domain, even when the pedals are on.
Yeah.
But the two reverbs have this, and the delay basically have this feature that when you turn the mix all the way up, we switch a relay. So we turn off the dry signal altogether. So you're just playing.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can, if you want to get like these massive sort of just reverb swells without any sort of dry signal, you can just crank it all the way up, and then you actually get this sort of wash of just reverb, which was what you were playing at the very end, where it's sort of like just.
But it's so crazy
awesome.
how you do not notice where that relay turns on or
Engages,
off and goes from dry to. Oh my god.
Very nice. I honestly like that the amount of modulation available can take a fairly traditional reverb, something that's been used for so long, along with the spring and all that, but take it to just on the edge of that ambient world with like a bit of flutter, a bit of pitch shifting, massive amounts of decay and all. Like it goes in there. I like that. Which takes us to
the last one.
The last one for today, the Evermore studio reverb. What does that mean?
Yeah, so in the very late 70s, early 80s, Lexicon made a very classic piece of, they've done a ton of classic stuff, but a very classic machine called the 224, 224, which is just, it's been on everything. Any sort of album that you like from 80s and up, pretty much all the way up to until today.
And not just guitar, like we're talking about
everything. One of my favorite albums, So by Peter Gabriel, is just drenched in that sound, and it's a beautiful sound. And it's odd because a lot of times with digital sort of hall room style reverbs, the goal is to sort of make it sound as natural as possible. And at least to me, that's never what Lexicon were the best at. Yeah. Their reverbs always has this slightly artificial or sort of flavor to them, which is just this awesome thing. It's it really brings character to this sort of at the same time natural sort of sound. So basically, if Heavenly is a plate reverb, at the end of the day, Evermore is a whole room style reverb that you can take from just sounding very natural, very sort of,
actual roomy,
don't get in the way, until something, pretty ambient and really cool and unique sounding. Yeah. And one of the unique things about the original unit is the fact that unlike pretty much all other reverbs, you have individual decay controls for 3 frequencies. So you'll see down here it says decay, and then you have bass, middle, and treble frequencies. Which if you don't want to deal too much with that, but just want the sound, you can obviously just make sure that everything is roughly at the same point. Or it would be the same as having just one knob. But it gives you an opportunity to get some really, really cool and unique sounds. And obviously, Lexicon is always known for their modulation stuff. So there's a big old modulation.
This one's on top.
And then mix. And then the toggle switch for that one is pretty basic. You have room and small hall and large hall, and those are actual programs that you'd find on the not all of them, but like the 3 most classic ones. On the back here, again, true bypass, buffer bypass trails, and the other one is a sort of a pre-delay. Just a switch that basically either it's off, so if you just want the reverb on exactly when you want it, or I can't remember.
Like a set time.
Set time, that's sort of a nice 20, 30 milliseconds in that range.
Again, for those, check out the link in description. You'll have all those very precise numbers that are just way too hard to remember. But okay, that's really, really cool, that decay setup with the different frequencies, because so you can just go into whatever size of reverb you want and then decide, I want that to be a completely glass building.
Yeah, exactly.
And just turn on the treble. That's really, really cool.
And at the same time, if you just set it a little bit more, sensible.
Yeah.
You just get beautiful, natural, 80s studio guitar. I'm a big Landau fan. He used not the 224, that would have been insane in his rig, but a smaller version of that. So if you just want those very nice, super clean, pristine LA style, clean sounds, that's the Reverb to go for.
Okay, let's hear it. Chris, do you wanna start clean, and do you want me to add some gain at some point?
Oh yeah, please.
I can put
just a bit of
just a little bit.
The J45.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
From the start or
somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in It's at some points when you started maxing out the mix control, I was like, it felt like it was in a storm and there was wind taking the sound into different places. Like, that was awesome.
It's so funny because one of the mottos we have when we do emulations is that we reproduce the old stuff, warts and all.
Yeah.
And you know, it's so funny with the original unit because it has some things in it that are like, did they actually do that? So one thing is the amount of modulation that you can get is just so over the top, it's ridiculous. That's in there. So you can definitely get it to a place where you feel pretty seasick.
This was like almost vibrato.
And the other thing is that, you know, when you really start cranking the decay knobs, and especially the bass knob, you can actually get the unit to self-oscillate, which is just ridiculous on a digital unit because it's not a really pleasant sound. And we were like, you know, our Q&A folks were like, is it supposed to do that? Like, we don't know, but the original did that, so we're adding it. So basically, if you feel like, if you get this and you feel like, oh, what if I turn this up? Is the pedal broken? No, it's that's just what
It's
the
the
original
way it
unit
is,
does.
yeah.
It's just what it is.
But that was such an interesting sound when you had the bass cranked, but everything kind of low key, because it went into that crazy place. But also, even when we were in the whole setting, and with the bass and treble fairly high, fairly long decay, but you had the mid way down.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it became like that scooped, super manageable, very in the background, kind of long reverb. It was still like a pretty massive reverb, but because it was scooped like that, just it felt like, oh yeah, that could be on all the time. I would be okay with that.
Yeah, and that exactly, and that's the nice thing about these controls, because obviously the guitar is sort of a mid-range instrument.
Yeah.
So if you sort of carve out that bit and leave the dry guitar, sort of you give them those frequencies, then you can have the reverb on either side and sort of have everything without it getting super mushy.
I like that very much. Yeah. This is my new favorite way of controlling decay now. I like that.
Yeah.
Epic. Yeah, unsurprisingly awesome, dare I say. That's the consensus, right? Like, you have 4 new pedals, awesome. Tour's coming, awesomer. Like, how are the pedals? Exactly like I thought they would be. No, but thank you so much. Thank you so much for developing them, for bringing them into the world, for coming with them here. It's always a
my
pleasure to have you around. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Let me know in the comments, let us know in the comments, which one of those pedals are you most excited about? Do you want all 4? And if so, why? And yes. Don't forget the links in the description to check out more information. While you're down there, subscribe for more testy playing, and Tor will come back.
More random talking.
More regular talking, but he'll be back. So yeah, you guys take care. Thank you for stopping by, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.